This episode of The Republic is brought to you by Netflix. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV.
GameBreaker TV.
What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. I'm Gary again, and you're watching The Republic. This is episode 123 for February 4th, 2013. Today, we're going to talk about EA's earnings call. We got some hot topics from the wretched hive of scum and villainy, a.k.a. the general forms, and a ton of your viewer questions. But first, Mr. Larry Everett from Massive.com. How are you, sir?
I'm good, and apparently people in Britain never sleep. And it's always, it's always 4 a.m. there.
There's always vampires. They're just all...
Yeah. That's what I understand.
And, of course, as always, Mr. Justin Lowe, how are you?
Good. And I just adjusted my camera, so Gary's going to hate me.
Ah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I don't really care.
Sorry.
I got these headphones. I'm having a rough day. These headphones are driving me nuts. I hit somebody's car today. It's a crazy day.
Ooh, nice. Was it your fault?
Yeah, totally.
Totally your fault? Oh, yeah.
I was paying attention. I was barely doing 1 mile an hour. I don't know what I was thinking. I was stopped. Then I took my foot off the brake for some reason because I was on a phone call, which I shouldn't have been, but I had a headpiece in. And I took my foot off the brake and just hit her. I was like, whoops,
Let me
sorry.
guess, you totaled the car.
No. There's barely any damage. There's barely any damage. It was like a scuff mark that could be buffed out. She was totally freaking out about it. I was ready for her to fall on the ground and start claiming she had whiplash or something. I was like, really, lady? Come on. She was breathing heavy. She was had to take. She's I was I didn't even know that I hit her. I thought I hit the brake because I hit the brake really hard. You know,
Did she have a bag around her mouth?
Yeah, she was hyperventilating. I was gonna be like, lady, I got my dog in the car who's not even strapped in, and she didn't even blink. It's like I hit a pebble. Seriously. Anyways, that's my day. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Sharon, what's up? Thanks for watching again this week, as always. Let's talk a little bit about SWTOR. We've got some financial news. EA had their third quarter earnings call. That's the third quarter of EA's financial year, if you guys are confused, which does not really exactly revolve around the calendar. So no word on subscriptions, no word on active players, no profits, no numbers solely tied to Star Wars: The Old Republic. I don't know. I think we all kind of thought this one on free to play would be kept in the dark a little bit. Not really.
That's totally standard. That's totally standard for a free to play game.
Yeah,
all of them do that. All of them.
So what did we learn? I mean, early, all that we really heard, I don't have the quote here, but early indications they said is something about the free to play conversion have been positive and that they are pleased with the results. That's about all they said, and then they just moved on.
That's exactly what they said. That's it. There's not really anything else. I don't think there's really anything to read into it, other than they just they're, from the way that I took it, they are in a wait and see kind of mode. They're saying it's doing well, but let's see how well it does.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna. Yeah. I think we're only gonna hear numbers if for some reason it's they just start just money starts raining down on them, and there's just then they'll tout it. But if it's never crazy good, we probably will never hear about it. They did say that it's too early to tell how successful the game's going to be in the long term. That was another one of the statements that they made, which is definitely true. It hasn't been really free to play all that long. We heard they tied some other numbers, but I don't think we can really make any correlations here. They threw out this $185 million number that was tied to extra content and free to play. So it wasn't anything SWTOR specific. They just kind of lumped it in with some money. So
they did add. They signified SWTOR as being one of the major contributors to that.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I mean they didn't say
they didn't break it down.
Made a third of that
FIFA
or anything.
What was the other game as well? Like it was FIFA, something
FIFA,
else.
I forget where the other one is off the top of my head, but yeah. But it's a major contributor to that number, which isn't, quite frankly, is not a small number.
No, not at all. You know what I think is going to be a really interesting take is it's good. I think what's really going to be interesting now is going to be post Rise of the Cartel coin, because a lot of that, think about it, a lot of that content we talked about was content that we heard about previously, right? So we kind of knew about it. What's really going to be interesting is after that comes out, what kind of content do we see from there? And I think that actually might be a pretty decent indication of how well the free-to-play model is doing. Because if they've got a really nice influx of money, they're doing really well, we should probably see some pretty good updates and maybe another mini expansion and like some really hearty content to come along the pipe. And if we see them kind of go a little bit quiet, well,
yeah, I totally agree. I think that this is going to be Rise of the Hutt Cartel is going to be kind of the litmus test going forward. If it does well, they might hire some people back and do some more writing and add some more content. If it doesn't do so well, then it'll probably just keep going the way it is, until the money completely runs out.
What do you guys expect to happen if it doesn't do very well? Like, what do you think? We'd see some major revamping and big changes, or do you think that they would almost go dark and kind of quiet?
I think they're done. Personally, I think they're done with total revamps. You know what I mean? I think they've had two, right? They had the first set of layoffs, which I think was EA going to BioWare and saying, you know what, you need to cut this amount of money from your budget, and so you're going to have to let some people go. And EA let BioWare make that decision as to who got cut and that sort of thing, and where to save money. And then the second time was the second round of layoffs, and I think that, this is all speculation, mind you, I think that was EA stepping in and saying, no, this is how we're going to cut it, and they did some drastic cuts. And I think, I think that's the last. That's it. If Rise of the Hutt Cartel doesn't, I don't want to say save the game, because it's not exactly. I don't think we're ever going to see the numbers that we did at launch. But if it doesn't show a significant increase to the game, increase of revenue to the game, or at least a solid prospect for the future, then we're probably just going to see it stay just where it is until the population completely dies off and the money dries out.
Justin, what kind of indicators are you looking for? Like, what do you think you're going to be looking for, once the expansion hits and then post that, to kind of get a gauge?
Jeez, I mean, for me, I'm still looking for that in-game content that's still, on the how long timeline, like, question mark. So, for me, I think a good indicator of them doing well would be that, them obviously adding more features, them, pushing forward and adding in, looking forward, to content that really doesn't drive like subscriptions or sales. So that would be stuff like in-game content that starts to get more heavy of a push. I think that would say a lot to me of their priorities going forward and their ability to start, doing some better stuff. But for me, Rise of the Hutt Cartel, if it does, there's been this, whole sort of debate about, whether or not it was the right size of an expansion or not. That's all going to be decided on how actually it ends up performing. But regardless of how that stuff does, as long as it helps them, at least in the meantime, at least push back, like Larry said, be able to, hire on new people going forward, it would have succeeded in just that merit alone. Just being able to, keep the game going forward and at least be able to push on to something, better for the future of the game, for content-wise. So, hopefully it does very well, but, it's all dependent on how the community actually receives it.
What's the next? We haven't seen a BioWare game release since free to play. What's the next BioWare game on the release schedule? Because I think something we talked about a lot, what we kind of speculated on was we really thought that BioWare would probably be hitting the single player market a lot harder and kind of trying to drive them over here. And I still wonder if we're going to see on the next BioWare release possibly some packaging of whatever. What would it be? What's the next one on the list? Dragon Age
3.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that really the next one? Wow, that might be a ways off yet.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we're going to see like some in-game, some in-package stuff. You know, buy the game, get in some cartel coin. Like, well, I mean, don't you still think that that's still? Yeah, I mean, don't you still think that they should be hitting that market a bit? It's like.
And we saw that with the Mass Effect stuff and the was it Amalur stuff where they pre-order Amalur, get this armor set in Mass Effect, and that for a lot of people I think would maybe piss off enough people in the MMO space that people would be angry about that stuff happening in the MMO space, especially if it was something that was any good. But at the lower level,
why would people be angry at that?
Depending on what it actually does. I mean, if it's just like a piece of augmented gear, if it's like an augmented gear, then I think that I would be fine with that personally. But for some people, if it actually helped your character's progress and sort of a lobby standpoint gave people an advantage for picking up other games, then people would sort of have issues with that. But this is going back to the whole. What they give people and what the incentives are for doing it and how it actually ends up coming out in the end. But I think that most people probably wouldn't mind it too much.
I think the issue that you're going to run into as far as cross selling to other BioWare games with Star Wars: The Old Republic is Star Wars. Because generally speaking, the reason they were able to do Mass Effect 3 crossovers with different games, like don't they even have one for like Dead Space or something like that? Had a crossover with Mass Effect 3. The only reason they're able to do that is because they're all EA products and the IP is licensed by EA now. I mean BioWare EA, and so the problem is the intellectual property belongs to Star Wars.
So you're saying that they can't even do any cross promotion? Ooh,
I don't think that EA would be able to do it. I think that I have seen.
Like you said, Dead Space 3 is coming out tomorrow. So
yeah. I think we might see, if we're going to see any kind of cross promotion at all, it's going to be with other LucasArts licensing, such as maybe Star Wars 1313. Maybe.
Yeah, that might be actually pretty cool. In the long run, seeing Dragon Age gear in Star Wars or like Clark's engineering suit in SWTOR, I don't think would go across very well from a lore standpoint or even really fit the universe. But
why you don't think JJ is going to put a commercial in the new Star Wars movie for Star Wars: The Old Republic? No,
I think going to be started about this JJ Abrams and Star Wars thing.
That would be cool.
That's another show.
I mean, just think about it. Like it's tailor made for J.J. Abrams. He had everybody has lightsabers. The Jedi have lightsabers. So lens flare out the lightsabers. Everybody's just blinded in the middle of combat. So it's like, right at the screen, just everybody's blinded in the middle of a theater in the Stark Theater. That's great. Yeah.
You're not a fan of the lens flares, huh?
Well, Mass Effect had a ton of them. And that proves all right. So why not have them into my Star Trek or Star Wars? Yeah, it's great.
I'm happy J.J. Abrams is going to do the movie.
I'm cool with him doing it.
That hurt.
Yeah, I think he's jealous.
It depends on the writers, right? Like, I don't want to have it be like Prometheus ended up being like another Lost with no questions answered and just a bunch of crap thrown at the screen that looks cool. So. If it was a little bit clearer on the writing front, then I'd be good. I'd be good with it. Like J.J. Abrams as a director, I don't think I wouldn't have a problem.
I hated Prometheus.
Yeah.
Dragonborn's coming out tomorrow too. You want to talk about that for a while? Let's move on. SWTOR. There's not a whole heck of a lot to talk about, but we will. So we made some shit up this week. We had to look through the official forums to just find some content to kind of talk about. So let's see what the community's talking about this week. Those general forums, man, aren't they just a lovely, happy place? Do you guys frequent them?
They are awesome, and I go there, and God, I hate going there. I do go there periodically. He can't
even open his eyes. He's just like, yes, I go there.
Yeah, I write a column obviously for Tor every week, and I gotta find some stuff that's being talked about. I want to keep things relevant, and so I do have to visit the general forums. But oh my gosh,
yeah, it's a fun place. It's a fun, happy place.
Yeah.
There's just rainbows and unicorns, and
there are some rainbows and unicorns.
That's what it tastes like.
It tastes like troll.
So first up, we've pulled up this thread. People are kind of getting concerned about the lack of info we've gotten about the upcoming expansion. The news, I mean, I gotta say, he's right. I mean, the news has been a bit stop and start from the beginning, hasn't it? I mean, especially we kind of thought the initial announcement was pretty bare bones, and there hasn't really been a major follow up to it. I don't know. What do you think?
Looking back at BioWare releases and the way that they cover or give, like, do press junkets and all that stuff for their games. I mean, they're really tight to the vest, especially about stuff that's, has to involve their single player storylines. They kind of try to keep a lot of that stuff hidden so that they don't spoil anything. And I wouldn't be surprised that this is the same approach to the marketing angle. We gave, from the BioWare mindset and from the EA mindset, we basically told them what this thing was going to be. Like, we gave them an outline. We kind of gave them a rough idea about how it is. Anything further would further, like, spoil the sort of experience for those players, and they really don't want to give those sort of nitty-gritty details that you would normally want to see. In fact, this is something we talked about, like, pre-launch of the game. It was like, oh my god, they're not really revealing anything. Like, you can't really talk about, like, all the nitty-gritty stuff. Like, what's going on? Like, the same sort of discussion that we had, now, like, going on almost 12 months prior.
So you think it's just par for the course? I guess some people are concerned that, are actually questioning, going, could we see a delay for the Hut Cartel? I mean, do you think
what is
spring?
I know. I mean, it annoys me whenever people say, "Are we going to see a delay? Are we going to see a delay?" Well, it can't be a delay if there's no date, right?
Words of wisdom.
So, I mean, are we going to see it pushed back beyond spring? I highly doubt it. I mean, they've been working on this thing seriously since launch, or before launch, really. They've been working on MMOFPS before launch. In fact, Danny Erickson a couple weeks back said that he worked on it. He was one of the key writers of MMOFPS. So we're still looking at some of the original writers having had written the content for MMOFPS. So we're not, if it's pushed back any further, I'd be extremely surprised.
All right, next up is another good thread. People want to talk about animal mounts for future content. So what do you guys think? Would you guys like to see animal mounts go into the game? I mean, or do you guys just hate furries? I mean, who doesn't really want a Tauntaun on Hot? Seriously.
I'd love to see him.
I want a Tauntaun on Hot.
I want a Tauntaun on Hot.
They would one day they'd be great cartel market items. I mean, people would, I think, swoop these up in a second. I mean, I guess the only thing theoretically, is it weird that you'd have like speeders and animal mounts going just as fast as each other? I don't know. Would people care? It might be a bit odd, but I mean,
just make them lower level. Like, even if you have to make them lower level, like just
instead of making them 110, make them 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they got to discount them. You don't want to do that because then they got to be cheaper.
Why would they have to discount them? You buy them for you don't buy. Okay, who buys a mount for practical purposes beyond their first one, beyond the first mount that they get? Who buys it for a practical purpose? I know people that run around literally, and I want to like smack them around. One of them is in my guild. Who runs around on that broken speeder that you got from the Chevin event that only goes like 90, that's the lowest level, it's like rank 1, and he runs around on that because it has the smoky plumes that come out of the back of it, and it sounds fun.
It's all for the lulz. Chat room seems pretty much all on the side of animal mounts.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think they would be great. Cartel market.
Next, I just want my jetpack as a bounty hunter. Just give me a jetpack.
Jetpacks.
You have it. You have jetpacks.
I know
Seriously?
you have the jetpack, but I
have a jetpack.
No, I want a mount.
You have
like
a
mount. A jetpack mount might be the key to all of SWTOR's success.
That's not.
They would sell like a
canon.
jillion of those.
And make them flying mounts. Get to the flying mounts sometime soon. Like make it so that you can actually use it. So,
do you ever remember seeing Boba Fett flying around for a long time on his jetpack? No, it was short bursts that he would
Stop
do.
Stop ruining my immersion.
Larry, RP is all out the window at this point. We need to make ducats. We need to make moolah. Jetpacks, flying mounts. Let's do it all.
seriously, if you have not, and talking about making money off of that, if that is one of the best things to buy, I recommend that if you haven't spent any cartel coins on anything, like, pretty much I haven't, then I definitely say buy the rocket boost, because that thing is incredible. It's the best thing in game. It goes to all your characters. So if you make a new level 1, it has the rocket boost, and that's 110%, right? It's 110% for, like, is it 4 seconds? I want to say something like that. But it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it.
My backpack has jets. All right, next up.
Yep.
This.
I want to fly in space in my jetpack. How about that?
There you go. Iron
Go
Man
right
right
ahead.
here.
You do that.
This next thread is genius. Ready? This person started a thread. Kick free-to-play if server is full. So what if BioWare kicked free-to-play players off the server to let subscribers in? Screw those free-to-play players.
Like, they already have a priority queue. Like, why go to the point of just kicking them off of the server?
Just kick them off the server. If there's sub guys coming in, just kick them off. Now, this wouldn't be a thread that we would normally pull for something like this, but it's 10 pages long. It's 10 pages of people talking about this.
Yeah. Maybe just people responding to the troll because they think it's a just total troll and think you should be shunned.
You think that's what it is?
I don't know. I would hope. I would really hope. Because, like, if you're waiting a longer queue anyways as a free-to-play player, like, okay, you're going to add in, like, the ability to have them kicked off the server. Like, why should they even play then? Like, what's the point of them? Like, why even call it free-to-play then?
I think that would be the ultimate show that that they really don't want this game to be free-to-play, that they really are looking for it to be subs. I mean, that would be the...
I just can't believe that I can't believe this thread got this much attention, because this literally has to be the worst idea I've ever heard for BioWare to ever make for a free-to-play game ever. So they should never do that. But apparently a lot of people felt the need to discuss it. Finally, this one could be a concern. What do you guys think? This one is somebody saying, why is all the cool new gear cartel exclusive? So they're a little bit worried, they're feeling that the cartel store is kind of getting all the cool stuff. I mean, what do you guys think? Is it really the case? I mean, if that's, are you guys feeling that? I mean, it could be a valid concern. If what about
they've kind of already talked about this. Like the problem with their end game gear sets as of late has been that they're basically just recolors of each other, and they really didn't spend much time in crafting new suits, new armor. And they obviously said that, and they said that they're going to be working on this stuff in the future, making sure that this the in-game raiders actually get something out of it that it looks really cool, and that they'll have options there available to them that will be entirely different sets going forward. So they obviously see that this is a problem. This sort of idea that they're not really thinking about it, or like news that gets lost, or people just forget, I guess, with time, is something that happens time and time again. But we've talked about this before. This has obviously been an issue for some time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been a matter of getting that stuff in, and whether it takes a couple weeks to months is the biggest question about when it's actually coming.
And I think the other thing that people have to remember is that if you are a subscriber, you're getting cartel coins every month as a part of that package. So that's sort of why you're getting that stuff. They're putting some cool stuff on the market, but if you're a subscriber, they're rewarding you with giving you coins to go buy some of that cool stuff. So, I mean, the game only went free to play. I mean, I don't know, but it is. I mean, I guess that being said, it is important to remember that subscribers, are they're the free to play player. I don't know. I guess maybe there are a lot more of them out there that are kind of waiting for some also constant flow of content and things coming in for them as well. But I mean, you are at the lowest part of the totem pole. It's like they want you to sub. Like, that's the point.
Yeah. The thing is though, the free to play player can't get the gear that a subscriber can. And when I say free to subscriber, that means anybody that is paying some sort of monthly fee. That's not necessarily the $15 or weekly fee or whatever, because you have that weekly access that you have to have in order to get beyond your 5 initial war zones or get into any kind of end game at all. So I mean, bear in mind that all of that content, all of that gear is completely off limits to anybody that is strictly free to play, and it has nothing to do with, you know. And the way I see the cartel market, as far as armor is concerned, and this is truly the case, is that that's all cosmetic stuff. And so you get your gear, you get the actual components for the gear by doing the in-game content and whatnot, and then you take those components and drop them into the cosmetic pieces that you get from the cartel market. That's the way I see it, and it works out. I think it works out pretty well, because the cartel market doesn't add anything to the game, as far as it doesn't make somebody better than somebody else, and then being free to play doesn't get you the end game content, or it doesn't make you the very best at the game. So that, that's kind of I think it's a good give and take, personally.
All right, so we're gonna move on. But first, actually, I'll tell you guys about this. First ever this Friday. If you guys are around, come over and watch. We're gonna do like kind of a pilot episode of. We're gonna do a League of Legends community tournament. Let me pull it up here. Thingy over here. There it is. The GBL community casting and free beer. No, not really. No free beer. Community and casting, yes. So on Friday at 5 PST, we are going to be broadcasting live with our very own League of Legends shoutcaster, Mr. Sean Delaney, four-court jester. And it's a community match. Basically, we're going to try something out a little bit different where you guys show up. He'll throw out the info to the community. First 10 people who jump in the game are good to go. And I think we're going to have the audience vote on the MVP. We'll give away some riot points and all that good stuff. So show up for that, the GBL this week, Friday at 5 PST live right here on Gamebreaker TV. And of course, you know it's coming. Yep, that's right. Netflix. Go over to netflix.com/Gamebreaker TV. Just do it, because it's awesome. It's awesome. Give up your TV.
Totally is.
Just get the streaming service. You can sign up today for a free 30-day trial. Stream to your Xbox, your PS3, your Wii, iPhone, your iPad, all your tablet devices, or your desktop, including your desktop. Watch anything on their streaming service. They're always cycling stuff in and out, new stuff like constantly. Footloose. Definitely.
Including the new House of Cards that just came up like recently.
Yes.
Too. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
And this is interesting.
Week.
How is this? You know about this?
Yeah.
I've seen the previews. I haven't watched it yet. But
this
it
is
looks
like,
really good.
And it's super interesting because this is Netflix creating content now, right? Like this is they're now making their own shows. Which is
they did that in the past with one of their other movie series that they did with like some of those old Soprano guys, like one of the old guys, I think I remember. But yeah, they've been doing these. Netflix has been getting into both the movie industry and then also TV as well. So they've been doing a good job with that. So it's an interesting aspect and definitely a value add.
Yeah, check it out. So House of Cards is up there, season 1. Let's see, what do they got? I don't have the installation of the desktop client there. But check it out. It's on Netflix right now. House of Cards, season 1, Netflix original with Kevin Spacey. It's supposed to be awesome. And go to netflix.com/Gamebreaker TV. Sign up for a free 30-day trial. It's $8 a month, but you can cancel it any time before that. You won't be charged a dime. So if you haven't done it, I don't know what you're waiting for. I seriously have no idea what you're waiting for.
Yeah, Jetter actually says Lilyhammer. That was a movie or the series that I was talking about.
Free stuff. All right, let's do some viewer questions. First up, Sebastian Koopa. He says the patch 1.7 event will be coming out before Hut Cartel, but how soon can we really expect it? Seeing as they said Hut Cartel will be out sometime this spring, I'm hoping they don't release a bunch of level 50 items only for us to get rid of them quickly once the expansion is released. Thoughts on this?
I'll leave this one to Larry.
All right.
They've already kind of addressed. They've already kind of addressed this, haven't they? They've said that anything that you have currently is not going to be out of date whenever whenever the level cap is increased.
We've had a whole show about this too.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that means. Mostly because they just haven't told us. But we
were very skeptical.
Huh?
We were very skeptical.
Yeah, we are very. I'm still skeptical about it, but
But they did bring it up. They did reference it, and they have addressed it. So we have to say, like, hopefully they do have something in mind for this. So your concern is one that they've obviously thought of, or they would not have brought it up in public, and I think kind of talked about it. So you should be okay. Hopefully. Yeah.
According to the gear level, Dreadguard and Elite War Hero is level 63. So, in theory, you're still good at level 55. You're still getting gear that's above your level. So, yeah, that's the theory. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't have any. That's what they say. So, we'll see how it works. I kind of
feel like this might. I don't feel like we're going to hear about. I don't know if they'll address this before it comes out. I don't know why. I think it's going to be one of the things you're going to have to literally wait till like the expansion releases and you're playing it and you see how it all works. I don't think they're going to get into the nitty gritty and really kind of dissect that out. Next up from Aaron Thompson, he says, how do you think the state of the guild system is currently and what would they need to do to improve it? Justin, how is it?
It needs work. It needs perk systems. I think that, the perk system that Blizzard did was a very good one. Same thing with Guild Wars 2 recently. Very good sort of guild ranking system and perk system that's there. So taking some of those systems and then pulling them into Star Wars: The Republic would be great.
You feel like there's not enough like guild group style content to get guilds actually doing things together?
Well, there's that too. Yeah, definitely. And that definitely would help out immensely. More so than anything like perks or anything like that. So that any sort of rating that they can put in the game or making it so that City of Heroes did with their their difficulty scaling system that you make end game raids, stuff like that you'd be able to do. Would be good even if you weren't able to really design a lot of features for those people. At least give them something to do, because right now they don't really have a lot out there to do beyond a few recent World Boss inclusions like Dreadtooth, and that's for the major raiding guilds. They've already kind of been there, done that, and kind of farmed that stuff to death, so that it's no longer really even worth it to them to do it anymore. So yeah, some extra content in there. Perks would be great. Definitely on the list. And just maybe even some more social features for them as well. I know Larry talks a bunch about the chat bubbles and stuff like that, but more social games like even Pazak would be great. Some mini games to use. And I'm still going to bring up Pazak.
It was like episode 50 we started bringing up Pazak. That's never happening.
On the priority list, in-game content, content for them to do is definitely number one on the list.
It goes to Pet Bubbles is number one, and Pazak is number two. We know this. We've seen the Wall of Crazy, Damien. We know what it looks like. It's right there.
And the funniest thing is, Damien was actually talking about this stuff way back in the day, before the game actually even came out. I think it was November GDC, early GDC. Time frame. He was talking about bringing in perk systems and different features to guilds that people would have expected from other MMOs. So being able to pull some of those things into the game, if they have been working on them for quite some time now, it'd be great to see them revisit that stuff and maybe pull some of those features in that they were working on then into the game at some point.
Larry, any suggestions?
Yeah, I like the whole idea of guild perks and things that guilds have to do together in order to earn specific things, whatever they happen to be. I mean, like Justin said, you can do raids as a guild. That's a good thing to do. World bosses, that sort of thing. But really, the most that you can do with that is 16 people, and that doesn't necessarily include everybody from the guild anyway, because that you have to be specific classes. You have to like PvE. There's some people that just don't like the PvE game. They like the PvP game, or they like the crafting game, or something along that line. What would be really interesting with perks and those kinds of things, you get the whole guild working together, no matter what part of the game that they like, towards a specific goal. And that's something that's kind of missing right now. Is there's no cohesion of the guilds as a whole. You know, I'm in a guild of what are we at, like 60 people, something like that. Maybe less than that. But anyway, there quite a few people, and there's nothing that we all do together.
Yeah.
And that hurts the cohesion a little bit.
You know what you need?
PvP, you know, PvP is still waiting. We're still waiting for the stuff that they talked about at the guild summit, where they were talking about, you know, doing team, you know, like different things that the ranked play, and then the actual official, you know, ranked PvP stuff that would be coming out, soon, the new seasons and all that stuff that they were going to be doing. So they still are, you know, it seems like there is a ton of stuff pitched at Guild Summit, you know, beyond the stuff that was like obviously coming out, that a lot of the duh moments and the duh things that they discovered
long
that they
ago,
were still...
man. That was when the game was supposed to be like his major hit. All bets are off at this point. Like that Guild Summit, that was a dream memory. That's just a memory. That's just, yeah, it's all gone.
Right, but I mean, they can still go back to, you know, to those things for features that people still want, because they still want those things. It's not that those things are no longer valid, because they still are. Like,
people still want guild capital ships. You still waiting for those?
Yeah,
I think those are on the list. Yeah, those are coming. Right?
Yeah.
Those are coming this year. Yep.
Yeah.
This year. Yeah. This spring. Yeah.
Next up from Michael Wheeler. Michael says, do you think if SWTOR came out free to play to begin with rather than having a sub, do you think it would have done better or worse? Larry?
Free to play. I don't know about free to play. Because I'm just, quite frankly, I'm not a fan of giving the best part away of the game for nothing. You know, because I think that devalues what it has to offer. Now, I like the idea of buy to play, where similar to what Guild Wars has, where you pretty much have a single, you buy the box and you can continue to play it for nothing, you know. And even if let's say you bought the box but you didn't get to play end game content unless you paid a subscription, I'd be cool with that too. That would have been fine. I think the game would have done a whole heck of a lot better had it been set up that way.
What do you think, Justin?
I'm not sure if it really. If you look at like what they were designing originally, like, you know, without instance servers, without all that stuff that we come to expect now, and the mega server stuff, I don't necessarily think this game was even ready from a development standpoint to be something like a free-to-play or a hybrid model, or even, you know, buy-to-play. I don't think they had, like, you know, the kind of stuff that you would expect as far as server infrastructure and the way that the game was designed. So I have a feeling that would probably been gone as just as bad if they were, you know, free-to-play at launch or buy-to-play at launch. I'm a little bit skeptical about how that stuff ends up going long-term, but regardless of that, maybe it would have been better for buy-to-play. I do favor that model personally. However, you know, that's not something that I would press on the development team, especially when it comes to that frame of mind when they were originally trying to release this game, of what that game was at that time. I don't think I as a person could say that would have been good for them to do at that point in time, especially for all the other stuff that they had to do. You know, making the game that, you know, was going to compete against WoW, that was going to do everything that WoW did, and trying to do what they did and take their market away from them, but
it didn't.
But yeah, I know it didn't do that.
Really,
this is what happens in development.
That's the whole thing.
Snowball.
It didn't do that. I think a buy-to-play model would have lowered the expectation of the game itself, and so therefore I don't think there would have been as much backlash. And also on top of that, we wouldn't have. I'm not saying we'd have zero server population issues, but I think that the server population issues would have been lessened because you don't have people completely quitting their subscription. Because there's no subscription. Let's log on.
Let's flip this around a second. We can do a whole show on this because I think it's actually a great. I think it's a great question. I want to throw this out to people watching. And I want you to leave a comment because I think this would be great. Because based on your reactions to this, I think maybe we'll even do a whole show. Let's even talk about journalists for a second and gaming websites. Should the expectations of gamers and or reviewers or website journalists Should the expectations be lowered for free-to-play games? Should your expectations be lower? Because I have to admit, mine are. Like, my expectations are somewhat lower. Like, which is maybe not a good thing, and maybe I need to change that, because I will cut a game more slack if it's free-to-play than if I have to pay for it. I've been talking a ton about Wizardry Online, and believe me, there's a lot of stuff. But I've been saying to people, like, I've been actually recommending it for people to try it, right? And the one thing that would stop me from doing that is if it was riddled with bugs and frustration, besides the login thing, which I know you'll all comment on that. But besides that, like, I didn't run into many bugs, and I was like, well, it's free to play. I would try it. Like, maybe you'll like some of these systems. And that, but does it compare to Guild Wars 2 or like World of Warcraft? Like, no, like it's not even like in the same ballpark, right? But I'm still actually telling people to play it. I actually want to know, like, what do you really quick? I don't want to get like super down the rabbit hole here, but what do you two think? Do you think that expectations should be lower for free to play games, or should they hold the exact high standards as games like the top dogs like World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2? Should we be comparing them to only those games?
I would say that they should be lowered personally. I mean, I can't even think of one game beyond like League of Legends that I consider like a free-to-play game that I actually enjoy past the, like, let's say, I'll put an arbitrary number on it, like a game that I'll enjoy past like the 50-hour mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any free-to-play game that I've actually played that long that's kept my interest and that is really interesting. And I've gone out there and played most free-to-play games. I did a few like web segments on it where I went out and played these games, and I have not really had something like really grab me. Like even Raider Z, which is competent and all right, is just not really my thing, because again, it's like, you know, that value of what they actually offer is still lower a value than I think what SWTOR and other games like that have a subscription model offer. Personally, I still think it is like that. In the future, though.
So how do you review that? If you're a reviewer, the big question is, how do you review that? Like, do you then knock it down?
PlanetSide 2. Yeah, but I don't even PlanetSide 2.
This is a tough slippery slope. It's like this is really hard.
Because I subscribe to that. I subscribe to PlanetSide 2. I consider that a subscription game because I have to subscribe to it.
And it's a free-to-play game that you actually enjoy so much that you're subscribing to, which is great. Yeah. You're the exact person that they want for the game. I don't know. Really cool. I don't want to get bad into Larry, but what do you think? Do you think the expectations should be lower?
Okay, so there's two games. Anyways.
Well, generally speaking, actually, I don't think so. And I don't think it should be lowered, although it is. I mean, however, I think what should be taken into account is not necessarily how the game is released and what the payment model is or anything along that line, but rather how many resources were dumped into this game in order to get it to launch. And that should, to me, that is what sets the expectation more than how much resources were put into the game.
How do you know that?
Well, usually they say they give you some sort of indication as to how much resources. Like, how many years have they been working on this game? You know, and you can kind of guess from there.
I don't know if I could.
I would say that the thing that I would like to say about this is that I think the thing that I was trying to sort of talk to, but I did it really poorly, was just more on the value that I feel I get out of the games. Because even PlanetSide 2, while it's a free-to-play game, and also League of Legends as well, those two are very surface-level games. I mean, they have like a limited aspect of what they're actually doing. There's not really a lot of stuff that they do. They do like one thing really well, and that's what they do.
And that's my next thing I was going to bring up, is that's what
versus like being a theme park, right?
Right, so, and that's why it's very hard to put them sort of almost in the same category as some of the big behemoth like a World of Warcraft, right? It's really hard. A lot of the new MMOs coming out, like you said, are very good at particular slivers of types of content. Now,
right.
I don't know. It's a really tough thing, especially when it comes to reviews. I'm asking the question because I'm totally selfish, because we're going to start reviewing games and stuff like that, and we're going to start with free to play. So I'm asking the question because I kind of want to know, like, what do people think? And like I said, I know personally when I look at it, and I don't know if it's right, but I do find myself being more forgiving for free to play games, and I just go, oh, this was worth some of my time. I didn't pay anything for it. I had a good time. Okay. unless it's like I don't know. On the other hand, chat room is saying, but they're all fighting for your time.
The thing is, would I subscribe to this game? I think that's really what it boils down to. If there was a subscription model, or am I going to dump a certain amount of money into the game per month? I think that's really what it boils down to when judging a free-to-play game. Are you actually going to put a certain amount of money into the game? Would you pay $15 a month for this game? I think that's the judgment that you have to make, even in free-to-play games.
Again, I can make a counter argument to that because there's a lot of free-to-play games that I just go like, no, I wouldn't pay $15, but that's okay. Like, I probably wouldn't pay $15 for World of Tanks, but you know what? It's an awesome game. Like, it's great.
But
if you like tanks and shoot at people, like it's got. I mean, the engine's awesome. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. There's nothing bad about it. Would I? Well,
I know people though that.
No.
Well, I know people that would put $15 into it and that think it's totally worth the game. And as a reviewer, I mean, that's kind of what you do. You don't necessarily. You can't speak for everybody. You can speak for yourself. And would you put money into this game and play this game on a regular basis?
There's people spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in like InView or something, like that's happening as well. So to them,
right, exactly. And also you can take it from a perspective of, yeah, it might be worth this amount of, it might be worth arbitrarily $15 if you like this kind of gameplay.
See, the thing is it gets really hard because none of the other sectors of the video game world, there are free-to-play shooters, right? But the big games, like, they don't really have this problem. If you put out like a Battlefield and a Call of Duty, it's like, yeah, they get pit up against each other. They're both $60, and but then again, I don't know. I'm talking myself in circles. I'm gonna move on. No, this is boring. I'm literally talking in circles.
Yeah. The whole like attaching like monthly costs and subscription models of things really. It makes people have to start evaluating what the value of the product is long term and what they're going to get out of it. Whereas, like in the single player games, when you're spending like $50 for like a 6 or 12-hour experience, like that's considered art. You can replay it, and it is what it is. And it doesn't really matter if it's like a 4-hour experience like Journey is, or if it's a 50-hour experience like Ni no Kuni is. So it's a hard like value proposition where. It's like, yes, one game is $50 and it only gives you 6 hours versus, a game that you subscribe to for $15 a month and get, several hundreds of hours out of the game and you continue to play it and then they continue to update it versus the free-to-play market where it just doesn't seem like they have that as big of an investment to continue to add like content on the periphery and make it a bigger world and give you these other things to do in the world. So if you get bored of that one thing that they do really well, there's no real option for you to do. Like if I'm in PlanetSide 2 and I want to do something else other than shoot people in the face, I don't really have much of an option there.
You know what's going to happen?
League Legends. So
this conversation, exactly the more I'm thinking about it, I'm almost thinking this conversation has like such a short shelf life because as soon as Blizzard releases Titan, whatever that is, and it's free to play, and then that's what you're going to compare everything to. Like this entire conversation is over because then we are going to compare every free to play game to something that like Blizzard and ArenaNet and these companies put out. So at that point, it's going to be, wow, what's going to happen to all these other MMOs that like are coming out that offer sort of less for free? It's going to be interesting. I don't know. We're kind of in the midst of the whole transition. I think that's why it's also tough. All right, next up, this one from Demon Adel Winostrom. He's sent in some stuff before. Do you ever think they will update the VIP vendor? I completely forgot about the VIP vendor. Until he did that, I forgot that thing even exists. Has anything happened with the VIP vendor? Have they done anything?
No. It's been the same since launch. Are they going to do anything?
I doubt it. Yeah.
No, they have the cartel market now.
The bigger thing that I wonder about is like, why would anybody purchase credits to get up there now? Like, there's nothing up there. Like,
but I remember being so excited about that with the collector's edition, right? I was so excited about getting that access and stuff, and
I have it.
That was
right over there.
That was one. That's one collector's edition that I'm kind of happy that Amazon totally screwed up my order. I never got it. They screwed up my order. I never got that collector's edition. And then the game launched, and I had to buy the digital download. I bought the standard digital download. Wow, saved me some ducats. Thank you. Screw up Amazon.
Yeah. Went from like 100 plus to 15. That's great. Record time.
Winning Strom again with a follow-up here. Says, and what do you think about the reputation system? Doesn't feel fair to be titled outsider when I've been playing the game since launch. I've got 7 level 50s and a level 50 legacy. Larry, what do you think? Rep system.
I don't know anything about the rep system. Really, other than you get titles and you gain reputation. Really, I mean, there's not really much else that we know. If I had more details, I think I could answer that question, but I don't. I mean, there's all sorts of speculation as to what it could be, and what this would be great if you could do that, because I mean, rep systems can be cool as far as roleplay is concerned and things like that, but we just don't have
that Hollow Dancer. You guys still have that Hollow Dancer?
Yes,
that was.
I use it in raids.
Because I thought you were going to say use it in real life, and I was going to be like, "That's awesome."
Well, I do that too, but that's another story.
I guess the biggest question is what they'll end up doing with it, right? I mean, rep systems. I mean, what are you going to be buying on the vendor in order for it to be of value to the player? I mean, it's like, yes, you're doing the rep system, and yes, it's great and all. And there are items on the cartel market which would be great. At some point, with these rep systems, maybe acquiring them at some point in some sort of off chance way where it's like built up rep system, and then you can acquire them at some point. Old items that have gone off the cartel market or something like that would be great to see, and maybe, who knows, stuff like that is something that I would like to see from cartel from a rep system. But I mean, even on other things, like just acquiring things at a less cost from a reputation standpoint, if they were valuing a vendor to let you acquire items on a legacy level as well, would be great. So hopefully.
How about that flare gun?
Flare guns. Oh yeah. Maybe stuff also I
mean, your tank, your
collector's edition stuff on there too.
Your tank doesn't shoot a flare gun up in the air before he runs into the boss. That's what ours does.
Oh man.
Last up this week from Gianni Aiello, he says, if you had to prioritize 2 features in game, what would they be? Larry, chat bubbles.
Chat bubbles and sitting in chairs.
There you go. Done.
Are you kidding me?
Justin.
Are you kidding me?
Dude, he's got his priorities straight. He doesn't even have to think about this question. Dude. He's done.
Just got him. Just nail him.
Hey, man, you gotta respect him. He knows what he wants.
Yeah. For me, I want to see more in-game content, whether it be PvP or PvE. Something than that I think would be great. And then prioritizing Pazak, because that's really important.
Oh my god.
So
chat bubbles, sitting in chairs, Pazak.
Another great week. Harry Gang, go over to our YouTube page, youtube.com/GameBreakerNation. Sign up, sub there, so you don't miss an episode. Justin Lowe, follow him on the Twitter at Zirak, Zirak. And of course, come over and watch The Republic every week, right here on Gamebreaker TV. Mr. Larry Everett, go over to follow his Twitter at Shadow, SHADDOE, and go read the Hyperspace Beacon on Massively every single week there as well. You can follow me at Gary Gannon, follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV, and we do the show live every Monday at 6 PST. Come on and hang out for the live show. Don't forget all the other shows we do during the week. Tuesday, we got After Dark, the live call-in show. If you guys haven't checked that out, that's live at 9 PST. It's a great show with Mike Shaftnit. That's actually turned into one of my favorite shows to watch on TV. I go home and watch it on the big screen. It's great. Wednesdays, we got Guildcast, Guild Wars 2 show. Check out that. Thursdays, we got Legendary World of Warcraft show. Friday, can't miss This Week in MMO. That's at 3 PST live, and we're going to be adding some new shows. Everybody's been asking about an Elder Scrolls Online show. I think it's pretty much in the cards that you will see an Elder Scrolls Online show. We're just not sure when yet. Waiting for more info from the ZeniMax crew as far as the news flow. PC game show probably coming. Free-to-play show probably coming. So lots of good stuff. Don't forget about the League of Legends special tournament thingy. It's not really a tournament. Matches. Community thing. We have free beer. We really don't. That's Friday at 5. Have a good week. See you next week.